Welcome back to the Lunch Table Hip Hop Food for Thought. I'm Nico Blitz, and it is the couple days after our Pass the Note event. It was pretty lit. Obviously, you see my face. I'm still hella tired, but we still going strong, man. I actually invited this one guy to come through and perform, but he was too busy opening up for Demrick and shit.
I was trying to be there. I wanted to be there. Like, trust me. Like, the fact that Demrick was like, "Oh, come rock with me." And, like, I produced this project. I couldn't say no, you know? And that was the first time he was getting to do an LA show, doing his whole album that we got to produce. Like, I couldn't turn down the opportunity. So
no, that's all good, man. My boy, he texted me, and he told me all of that exactly. And I was like, you know what? I feel it, because it's a really good opportunity. Yeah. Demrick's in a good place in his career right now. And just the fact that you were able to do that entire project for him, it only made sense that you were there that night.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody, we worked with this guy back in, I don't know, 2017, last year, around the VMAs, because I know we missed the VMAs that day too.
Oh, for real?
But he goes by the name of Sexton. Austin,
good?
Congrats, man. Welcome back to the Lunch Table.
Thank you very much for having me again, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure having you. So you actually moved from, what was it, Philly again?
Okay, so it's a little small town in Pennsylvania called York. It's like an hour and a half east of Philly.
Okay.
So I went from there, was there for 21 years, said, I'm going to go try to live the dream. So I slept on my boy's couch in Santa Barbara for a year while I got a job, did the whole thing, just trying to figure out a way to get on my feet out here. Once I got a little apartment, just started kicking in Santa Barbara and networking with people, trying to get into studios, trying to figure out a way to start making music. Ended up meeting the right people. We're given the super abridged version, met all my homies up there. And then last year, I think it was like September 1st, so almost a year, moved to Burbank, and now I've been here for a year. So
Yeah, man. And you were just busking on the street.
Dude,
busking his ass off.
That's how we met.
That's how we met,
bro.
Yeah, we did that whole video in front of a mall or something.
Yeah, Paseo Nuevo. I still, to this day, I'll try to go up like once every couple months. And now that the fan base has gotten a lot bigger, I have people ask me all the time when you do those little, like the Instagram, like, ask me a question. They're like, when are you coming back to play on the street?
Oh, shit.
And I'll be like, I don't know. I never really thought about it, so I want to start actually making an event, almost like a little concert series, like maybe once every 3 months, where I go up and do it. And then anything that I make, it's like, it's not that I'm struggling anymore to like actually make that money. I actually want to like donate that money to something in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
You know?
No, because I feel like the key word there is donation.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people were just, they were just making donations to you whenever you were performing. So it only makes sense that you're giving back to them afterwards.
Absolutely. And it's just the fact that I was up there for so long and I built a good little fan base up there. Like, I actually had people start coming up to me because they knew me as the busking guy,
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't have any way of showing them, oh, I've got this on Apple Music or I've got this on Spotify. And now it's crazy because a year and a half later, those same people who saw me on the street, like, now they're the Instagram followers. Now they're people who are supporting by, like, buying albums, buying songs, buying singles. So it's just crazy to see the translation. Yeah.
Do you miss busking at all?
Yes and no. I miss the interaction with people, and I miss just the fact it's a huge stage. Because that little spot that I was at in Santa Barbara, you would get so many thousands of tourists and people a day that you didn't know because it's a tourist city, So that's almost better in a sense than opening up for like major people, you know what I mean? Or like you're trying to do shows if you're not that well known, It's free marketing and free promotion. But I'm super happy that I'm not in the sun all the time. And because even if you're wearing a hat, like, that shit's still draining. Because, I remember being like 2.5 hours into it, and I'm just like, all right, well, now I'm out of material, so I got to do the same thing again.
Yeah.
And you're just drenched in sweat, so you can't wear white. You gotta, like, you can't really look that fresh. You have to look somewhat presentable, but, like, it's a love-hate thing, bro.
Yeah.
And then I tried to do it down here a little bit in LA just to kind of get a feel for it. Nah, you can't do it down here.
Why?
It's just way too oversaturated.
There's way too many performers.
Way too many people, and the way that they do it here is just way bigger and way crazier than what I was doing, bro.
Like how so?
Like they're bringing out like actual like PA speakers and hooking it up to car batteries, and running like full band shit, and I was just in Santa Barbara with my guitar. It worked for the environment, the aesthetic of my music with the town and the city, like it was perfect,
Yeah.
Down here, it's like it's a dime a dozen,
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Well, I feel like even presenting your music in a smaller market makes you stand out that much more.
Oh, absolutely, especially if it translates well, like there's 1,000,001 people doing music. Not saying like anybody's better or worse, but just I think it just so happened that my particular sound and aesthetic with Santa Barbara just worked out really, really well.
Yeah. So what's been the most drastic change you've had to like try to adjust to since moving from Santa Barbara to LA?
Traffic. Food too. Food is not as good down here.
Okay.
Santa Barbara's food is so fire, and here I feel like unless I'm cooking my own food, like I'm not really gonna get anything that's super fire unless I'm going to like Gus's fried chicken, or I'm going to like places that are like known for being really, really good. I haven't found a lot of good corner spots that are right down the street, especially living in Burbank, that I could be like, oh, I'm gonna go here. It's gonna be fire.
Yeah, because Burbank's a little bit more on the, it's a little bit more updated than other places, So I think even going there, I'm just like, damn, dude, I can't really buy something unless it's like $10, $12 at the very least.
Yeah, and it's gonna be some chain shit. So
yeah,
chances are like, yeah, sure, Wingstop's good every now and then. Getting some sort of pad thai is going to be good here and there, but like being down here, it's like sushi's the same sushi, pad thai is the same pad thai. Like I feel like it's all kind of the same. So, but in Santa Barbara, it's like I knew if I wanted like a fire burrito, like I could go to a super fire one Mexican spot called Super Cucas, or if I needed like I had my little spots. You know? And even though I've been down here for a year, you think you would find something. I'm still kind of struggling.
No, a year is not even enough time to explore all of LA, dude. Like I've been out here for like 3 or almost 4, and there's still new places I'm discovering. Even like places just down the street, and I'm like, shit, I never even realized I was right there. So from Santa Barbara, food and traffic. But obviously, another change that I've heard is just all your music. You've done music for Kyle. You've done music for Demrick too. But let's start off with Kyle. How did you end up linking with him? Because you produced a track off Light of Mine, huh?
Yeah. So a good friend of mine, his name's Sonny Norway. He's actually in Kyle's camp, and he works with like Ao, Kyle, Nolan Smith, Jesus, just all those guys. And I met Sonny originally because the guys that are here with us now, Mike and Susie, they had a group as well as Vu a couple years ago called Lifted, and Lifted did a show at Mother down in Hollywood, and they had Kyle's brother Ugly as the headliner.
Okay.
So they opened up for Ugly, Kyle showed up, and also Sonny was there, and I met Sonny at that show. And it was just on some like, oh, you do music? Oh, I do music. Yeah, I'm down here. I'm in Santa Barbara. So one day I drove down here and I was like, you know what? Let's just work on some shit. So I picked him up and I brought him back to playback in Santa Barbara. And we just vibed out from there. So we worked together for probably like half a year. And I started coming down to LA more. And Kyle was working out of a studio called Indie Pop.
Okay.
So I came to Indie Pop a couple times, met Kyle, made that relationship. And one day when Kyle was running a session, or he had sessions going because he was working on his album, me and Sonny just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And what not a lot of people know is that To the Moon was actually a record that he already had recorded, and the original beat was done by his DJ Brick.
Okay.
Right? So Kyle was like, oh, like, I like this, but I want to see where else we can go with it. So me and Sonny were just chilling in one of the studios, and I started playing keys. I started playing the he added the drums, and we took Kyle's vocals, put it on top, and just made it work. And then next thing you know, I get the call like 5 months later, like, hey, we're going to run this as the single for
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And then, I mean, 2 weeks later, they dropped like Playing With Me with Kaylani, and like obviously that's Kaylani, it goes to the roof. But it was just right place, right time. And I'm super thankful for that opportunity, because now here a year later, after sitting in that room in Hollywood Hills, Light of Mine actually just went gold. So now I can say that I'm a gold producer.
You made a gold record. No, that's fucking tight, dude. Yeah, because I actually just seen that Instagram post the other day, and I'm like, holy shit. I better go into your studio. There better be a plaque somewhere.
Give me like 4 months to get that thing, but it's coming. It's coming for sure.
That's great, dude, because, I remember talking to Jasmine about that shit, and I was like, no shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I didn't even realize you were, like, a producer at that point. I thought you were really just like playing off your guitar.
Oh no, I produce so much. Like so OT was my mentor, one of my best friends, like business partner, like really put me on to learning everything. Sat down with him for 5 years, like still live together to this day. He's back and forth from Santa Barbara. He taught me everything I needed to know about production. So whether I'm listening to something all the time and keeping up with like trends or what's kind of going on and putting my own spin on it, you know, like I'm still able to I can pretty much make anything, to be honest with you. But it's more a la carte. So I don't go out of my way to actually make beats just to make beats because I'm always working on stuff for myself. But unless I'm working with my roommates or I'm trying to do something for somebody else who's asking me to do it, you know, like it's more of like, okay, we'll sit down together and do it.
There has to be purpose to it.
Yeah, there has to be purpose, you know, because I feel like a lot of stuff right now is kind of oversaturated, so that's why like I'm a little bit in an alternative lane for myself, which I'm sure we'll get into then. But yeah, I just I make beats for everybody.
Well, because I know a lot of producers who are like, yeah, like I crack out like five beats just to get to the one beat that I really want out of the day, and I'm like, that's kind of overdoing. I don't know. To me, it's kind of like overdoing it.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference between like beat makers and producers, bro. Like,
that's true. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
That's why I look at it. No disrespect to producers or no disrespect to beat makers. I just personally think it's two different crafts.
Can you break that down?
All right. So like you're talking about the beat makers making 5 beats a day. You know what I mean? I feel like that's somebody who like you might make the slap. You know what I mean? You're the originator of the beat, but the producer is going to be the person who's going to arrange that record. The producer is going to be the person who's going to be like, okay, we need to put this drop here, or we need to add this section here. Maybe we need to add more instrumentation to this part of the record.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, sure, you're cranking out 5, 6, 7, 8 beats a day, but a lot of the times those beats just end up being the idea. You know what I mean? So like, sure, that beat maker will get production credit, you know, and chances are they'll have the majority of the percentage on the production side. You know what I mean? But at the same time, too, you gotta understand like there's a lot more than just the beat itself, and that's where the producer comes in and arranges the record, structures the record, maybe adds to the record or takes away. I mean, like you got Kanye, right? Who perfect example is Yeezus, where it was he had all these beats, right? Made these huge, big, crazy records, but then ended up giving it to somebody else, a different producer, who ended up completely stripping the entire the whole album down, so it's way more minimal. You know what I mean?
Damn.
So Kanye, being the beat maker that he is, gives it to I can't think of who the producer was on top of my head, but ended up just stripping it down so it was way more minimal. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Damn. I learned something new.
Yeah. You know,
that's pretty
two
cool.
different worlds, man.
Yeah. So. Being in that atmosphere with Kyle as the producer, what's something that you really took from working with him that you didn't already know?
Kyle was when he's into a song, he's really into the song, you know? I was only there for 2.5 days for the production sessions when Light of Mine was just starting. And I came back a couple weeks later. It was at a different studio when they were finishing things up. But when he's into the record, he's full into it, you know,
like you'll know if he fucks with it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could tell that with everybody, but he had this little sway about him whenever he was like really, really feeling something, and it was just really interesting to see like the little smile that he had when he heard the record from what it was. I guess it was just his work process, you know. I was super impressed with the way that he was like fully dialed into records when he was into them, you know.
Have you applied what you've learned to like your other endeavors?
Not particularly, because I feel like my process is everybody has their own process, you know, and I feel like maybe there's like studio etiquette that you kind of have to. There's like a generic studio etiquette, you know, but once you get past that first like hour in a session with somebody, you kind of like diverge into being who you are. You know, you start out one way, but then like I'm not gonna try to be somebody different or do something different just to like please somebody else. You know, like I would never do that. Like if we work in the studio, great. If we don't, like we try, but you have to accept me for my production of the way that I do it. Mm-hmm. I will obviously mold to somebody, but I can't go too far outside of the box where it's like,
not you anymore.
Yeah, where it's not me anymore. You know? So, and I don't care if you're who you are, you know. It could be like the #1 A-list celebrity, or you could be somebody I just met 5 minutes ago, you know. Like,
and that's how you know you can really differentiate. Like, you don't even think about like celebrity status anymore. It's like you just see everybody as a regular ass person.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to think of this. I mean, I would probably be fucked up if I met Pharrell. I think that's he's one of my goats.
Yeah.
Kanye, I'd be a little bit like, okay, wow, I'm in a room with Kanye.
That's cool.
You know?
Yeah.
And like obviously legends and stuff like that too. But like, I feel like it's once you see them, like you make that connection. Like, okay, it's this person. But after like 5 minutes, you're just like, all right, it's
whatever.
It's just whatever, you know? Because you get in your own head. You'll be like, okay, I really need to step my shit up right now because I'm in the room with this person. But whoever that person is, it's like they've been in the same exact experience as you know? And there's been a time in their career where they felt like they had to be the best because they were with somebody that they admired, you know? But at the end of the day, we're all the same people. We've all gone through the same experiences, especially if you're in music because the circle's so small.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel like, because I can only imagine you've been like in and out studios like a lot since being in LA.
Yeah.
Does it ever get boring that you're just constantly doing the same shit every single time?
I mean, different studios give you different like vibes, but personally, I would prefer to work out of a house than a main studio, to be completely honest with you. Like the best studio sessions I've ever been in are like house studios, whether they be in the hills or they be in somebody's apartment. Like I hate like studios that are run out of like major labels they're like doctor's offices, you know, like it's just a lot of times some of the like major studios I've been into that are like run through labels, like they're not good studio spaces, like from the equipment that they have to some of the engineers that are working. Like, I mean, I've met some great people like that too, but the studio is only as good as the person who's operating it, you know? So I would much rather work out of a place that has a vibe and has some like decent equipment and we can make that work rather than I feel like I'm on the clock for somebody at a studio space that has no vibe. It's like, okay, you got a board, you got a couple pieces of outboard gear, like it's the same thing as the next space, as the next space, as the next space.
It kind of reminds me of like when I moved out here and I was trying to find a barber. And every single, because in the Bay, like barbers create their own stores personalized based off their personality.
Right.
But over here, I'm just like, dude, all these barbershops look the fucking same.
Nah.
And it doesn't really make sense why these barbershops don't have any personality to it. But it makes sense. It's like going to a studio that's just all super corporate versus you just being in your environment. I can only imagine being in your own environment makes it all the more better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's familiar, you know exactly where you're at, you know exactly what programs you want to pull up, VSTs. I've got all my keyboards right there. That's the other thing that sucks too. I would much rather people come over to my place to record because I use all keyboards, bro. Like I don't use a lot of VSTs when I produce, like especially when I do like trap beats or like mainstream beats. Well, I think what makes my stuff a little bit different is the fact that I'm trying to use actual keyboards rather than using VSTs. A lot of people are just throwing out the producer tips right now. A lot of people are using the Omnisphere and the silence and like all that stuff. They just go right to it. You know what I mean? Go on Machine, pull up a Metro Boomin 808 kit. You know,
they have that.
Oh yeah, I mean
they probably have it for every producer, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
that's fucking nuts.
TM88, Metro Boomins, Wonder Girls, like all that stuff, you know. And I'm not saying that I haven't used those things because I have, like every producer has, but I try to differentiate myself by using actual keyboards and using actual outboard gear to make more trappier sounding top 40 beats because it gives it a little bit more dimension and depth rather than like
everything sounding so perfect.
Yeah. And also, too, it's like everybody's used the same sound, dude. Like, if you go to the Hot 100 right now, there are at least probably a quarter of the same records that are just done in different variations with the same sounds on the same programs, probably done out of the same studio, you know? So
that's crazy. And it's so funny that you mentioned that because we were just listening to Demrick's Came a Long Way, or the last album. Yeah. And you produced the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Vu.
Okay. So what I was tripping out on was that, first of all, every single record sounds completely fucking different. So to me, I was like, damn, like his fucking production skill is amazing because you got like the trap sounds and you got the R&B sounds. And then I got to pull this up, dude. I really got to pull this up. All right. Because I was tripping out and Jasmine was tripping out once we started listening to the music, because I was like, bro, this motherfucking guy, Austin, literally just pulled from his own shit.
Yeah,
and then
you caught that? You caught it? You caught that shit? Yeah, man.
Was it on, what was it?
It was on, it's on Came a Long Way. That's the last record.
Yeah, and also on, I think, Rotation. No, but rotation, it kind of had the same chords as Oana.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, just
that.
in the beginning, though.
Yeah.
Just in the beginning.
Yeah, a little bit. I definitely pulled some inspiration from there, but like I wanted to try to pull a little bit of something different for myself. But we mainly did it in the last record, Came a Long Way, which is actually the last record we did, and that's how it got the title.
Yeah.
But our main point that we wanted to do with this is we didn't want it to sound like everything else. We wanted it to slap, but we also wanted it to be a story. Because Demrick, I mean, he's literally come a long way. Like, he's originally from Philly, too, or right around those areas. He came out here.
Is that how you guys linked?
I actually linked up with Demrick through OT.
Okay.
So OT was Demrick's DJ and like one of the original production partners back when he was in a group called Tangled Thoughts almost 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kept the relationship. They've always been really good homies. And Demrick went off, did his whole thing, linked up with like Dizzy Wright and like Little Debbie,
DJ Hopper, all
yeah,
them.
DJ Hopper, all those guys. You know what I mean? And but he still kept it really close with OT. And I've always looked at Demrick as a big brother. The reason I got into making, originally people would know me for like R&B because I was doing that a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first met Demrick, when I was actually first in the studios, it was probably like 2012, 2013 era. I was at Playback, and I just got done recording like my first like singer-songwriter project. Spent way too much money on some production that was just okay, and I really thought I was going to change the world, the type shit. Like, and we had a little release party. It was cool. Everybody left, and then OT had a session with Demrick. And I was like, this is back before me and OT were super close. I was like, hey, man, like, do you mind if I stay? Like, hoping, like, maybe I can get on the record or something, you know?
Yeah.
But he came in, and he was actually doing records for Jim Johnson at the time. And there's the record they were working on, this is crazy, was, I don't know if you know the Usher featuring Rick Ross record, Let Me See.
Yeah. Let me see.
Let me see. Yeah, that record. So Demrick was writing that record at the time.
Oh, shit.
And so I'm hearing this all before it came out, right? So I'm just sitting there and like the beats slap. I'm like, oh, this is so tight. The lights were low. And I'm watching the way that he was writing, and I'm watching the way that he's just coming up with stuff off the top of his head. Because he was originally a rapper. But I will say this now, he was doing the whole auto-tune rap thing before Drake. I will say that right now. You
really?
Quote me. I swear, bro. Like, OT probably since like 2007, 2006 he was doing that shit, you know? So I roll with him.
Shots to Drake.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm watching him do that, and I was like, man, I really wish I could like really get into this kind of a vibe. And I was just so impressed with the way that he wrote and the way he was coming up with stuff off the top of his head. So I always looked at him as like a big brother, and he's like always been an inspiration to the way that he moves and works so fast, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then it just kind of happened that 6-7 years later, it's like it was almost like a family affair making the project, because it's like I've got Vu, Mike, Jesus, Jesse, like everybody that we moved down to the house with. OT's running sessions, mixing and engineering as me and Vu are producing. Demrick's in there, Dizzy comes over, Debbie comes over, like, and we're just making records. Like, so it was 17 days. Would you say like, I would say like 25 Henny bottles. We literally would go to Ralph's every night, dude. Okay? D would give us the credit card. We would go to Ralph's. Shout out Shirley at Ralph's. She would come over and unlock the Hennessy case. We would buy 2 bottles every night. After the 5th day, they ran out. Ralph's had to get a new shipment strictly for us. We came in, bought the whole shipment.
What the fuck?
So for every single one of those days, we went through 2 bottles of Hennessy, just got completely lit. We would always have food at the house, but so we would be producing all night, staying up, getting trashed, making the beats. Go to work the next day, you know, because it's still in the 9-to-5 shit.
Yeah.
Go work that, get like an hour of sleep. Demrick comes over, running another 2 bottles of Henny, still going. And after that month went by, it was done, you know.
That's how you guys finished the album?
Yeah, that's how we finished. That was every single day for
that's
like 25
nuts,
days.
dude.
It was crazy, yeah. So yeah, shout out Shirley at Ralph's, shout out D, shout out Hennessy, never settle.
Trying to get that Hennessy sponsorship after this shit. No, that's smart though. I mean, because I don't know. I guess sometimes if you like smoke or drink, you really get put in that type of vibe.
Yeah, and I'm not used to doing that, because one thing that I've always learned and was kind of put into my head is you don't want to be somebody that needs to rely on something to get into a certain vibe. For sure. But it was more for fun, you know, because when he came over, the first time he came over, he was actually working on another project that he's getting ready to release. We were just doing some tracking for him. But one day we got our shot. He was like, hey, let's make some records. And we did one. And then the next day it came back, let's keep going. And it just turned into what it turned into. You know, it wasn't like, we're going to sit down and do this. It was originally something else that came a long way.
So this project wasn't even expected.
Just happened.
That's tight, dude.
Yeah.
And now, like, you've taken that project and you're on stage on the 18th.
Yeah.
Did you guys perform any of those songs?
Oh, well, I didn't open for him. I was just there to do rotation with him and, like, be a part of the other records as well as play some other records for him. Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, now we did rotation and it was tight. It was super dope.
How'd that go for you? Was that the biggest stage you ever been on, or? No, you've opened up for other people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've done, like,
G-Eazy,
Ty Dolla $ign, some things like that.
So then how is it knowing that, like, you directly affected this album and seeing everybody vibe to it? How'd that make you feel?
I mean, it was like a blessing, you know, just to see. You never really get over, at least like maybe I'm just not so infused by being on tours and stuff, but like I feel like you never really get over somebody singing your lyrics back to you. And I've had it happen before for my own stuff, don't get me wrong, but like to have that amount of people, like when I'm singing the rotation chorus, like, and I stop and you hear everybody on rotation, and I'm just like, oh, this is dope.
It's crazy.
So it was really, really tight. I feel like you never really get over that, and I would hope that you never lose that feeling, because I would never want to be singing in front of 50,000 people and just being numb to it. You know, it's a beautiful thing. So
yeah, and you know, I think you've built enough juice to, like, with your Paola EP.
Yeah,
I think once people really get exposed to that shit, you'll probably get that same effect too.
Yeah, I mean, I played a show probably, who was it? I did a show in Santa Barbara with my boy Jonas, my homie Jamie, and my boy Jovith, because we all have a little Santa Barbara following. We actually sold it out at Soho, and that's the first time that I ever played Paola. So, like, I hadn't even exposed anybody to it yet, you know? And I remember seeing the way that people were vibing to it, because it's an alternative record, and like the venue's alternative. Everybody I've worked with is alternative. I'm in that genre now. But just seeing the way that people were reacting to it, I was just like, okay, I'm super juiced. And now it's my #1 stream song on Spotify, and I'm actually doing like 5, almost close to 6-figure numbers on like a record, which is huge for me.
Yeah.
You know? So
that's crazy, dude. And it's like, I feel like you really took a risk transforming your music from what Good Sex was into this whole alternative sound. How'd you really come about getting to that?
I think it was just expanding my musical palette. You know, I feel like alternative music gives me more of a reason to learn different instruments and play around with different things, you know? And I truly believe it's a genre that it really shows how musically talented you are, because just from the reverbs, delays, just the production that goes into it, dude, it's like, it's my favorite thing that I've ever got to like go down on a path to go down. Just from the different types of artists you get to listen to and stuff that inspires you. Like, now I feel bad saying I'm kind of burnt out on top 40 stuff, because like, there's so many alternative artists, don't get me wrong. There's a lot out there, but every time you hear something new from an artist you haven't heard yet, you're just like, oh my God, like this is so sick.
Yeah.
And I think that I'll probably end up staying in this lane just because it's doing so well for me, you know? But that's not to say I won't continue to produce other music, you know? But like, just for me in general, this had a 1,000, I forget what the actual statistic is, but I think it was like over a 2,000% increase over what Good Sex was, you know? So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember you and I talking about this, because I was telling you, like, yo, would you ever make a song that was very, you know, like R&B mainstream type shit, like pretty much like a bass slap with R&B vocals over it? And you told me, you know what, I don't want to go that route. I think if I just do what I need to do and just really be myself, people will fuck with that. And it seems like based off that 2,000% jump, people have been fucking with it.
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I still like on rotation, like I did like the whole R&B thing. Like, if I'm doing feature stuff for other people, I'm always down to like go that way, you know, to help the record. It's what's best for the record. It doesn't necessarily have to be what's best for you, because at the end of the day, the record is the world's. It's not yours, you know. So if it helps the record, sure, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll go that R&B way. I actually have some records with my roommates that are going to be coming out here shortly where it's kind of that way.
What are their names?
I mean, they're sitting here now. You can't see him, but Mike Lee. So every single person that I live with is an artist as well. So Mike Lee and Vu, They were on the Came a Long Way album with Demrick, and then obviously myself, and then there's Susie, who he's gonna be on top 40 for sure. Mark my words. I believe all my roommates are. But like everybody's got their own kind of lane. Vu's very artsy, like I am. Mike's on his like Sir Internet shit, which is a super style. I love it. I'm excited for you guys. There's Sandra Morales coming out soon, and then Susie's a top 40 guy. I don't want to say like never or anything like that because he's in his own lane. You know what I mean? But like the whole like Little Skies movement, just like Juice WRLD, that's like that kind of whole thing with his own twist to it. And I'm excited because it's my production with like that kind of top 40 idea with his voice. It's sick. So, and then like I said, obviously myself. But every single person that lives in my house is an artist or an engineer or something. We got a little factory over there. So
then what's the goal? What's the end goal for all of you?
Just to be able to live off of making music, off of touring, off of selling merchandise. Because I mean, in a perfect world, obviously you want to be touring every single month and making 5-6 figures off of numbers. But I mean, as artists who are on their way up, like you want to like just being able to pay your rent from music is a victory.
In Burbank,
yes. But like you have to appreciate the little victories. Like the end goal is for everybody to have their own house, living in the hills, being able to live, doing well,
Yeah.
But like right now, it's like, at least for myself, it's like I appreciate the little things. It's like if I can pay my rent, if I can buy food, if I can go out and buy my friend a drink off of something that I did for my music, that's a win, And then if I can get 100 people to a show, and out of those 100 people, I get 20 to buy a T-shirt, that's a win, Making sure that every single person in that audience who has heard my Paola EP but still knows at least some of the words and hearing that back to me, that's a win, So you got to start here, and eventually, the rest will come. Because I live it with the people that I work with, the people that I live with. It's like I have no doubt in my mind that shit will happen.
Yeah.
It's like I produce, Vu produces, OT produces and mixes and masters. We have a whole bunch of new equipment in our house. We don't have an overhead on a studio. Like we pay our rent. Our rent is in our studio's at our house. So that's might as well be just fixed income right there. You know what I mean? Susie's a fire artist. Mike's a fire artist. I'm super confident in myself. Vu's a fire artist. Like, as long as you're continuously cross-promoting and, like, I get associated with Mike, Mike's associated with me, Susie, Vu, like, it's all within your camp, We were talking about it on the way over here. It's like, so many people have this idea that you move to LA and it's just going to happen. But, like, so many of these people don't have a team. So like, you need to have a little bit of everything, You need to have somebody who's taking your pictures. You need somebody who's shooting your video. You need to be continuously be promoting on Instagram. You need somebody mixing and mastering your stuff. Because it's like, I can sit there and make a record for Susie. I can sit there and make a record for Vu, make a record for Mike, and I can get it ready for it to be mixed. As soon as it gets over to the mixing station, I'm already working on another record for somebody else. By the time that those 2 records are done, it's mastered. All we have to do is just get some album art, put it out. It's a workshop,
Yeah.
But it's just being consistent, And as long as you got a team who's fully focused in the same shoes and like they're your best friends, like that's a win. So.
They just got their hearts touched. They're like, oh yeah, they're my best friends.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
that's tight though, because I feel like once you got like a whole ass team, everything is just clockwork at that point.
Yeah.
You don't have one person over stressing, and the other person's not necessarily getting out of their element to do something that they feel like they can't necessarily do.
Yeah, and what I'm really appreciative too is like Vu, whenever I work with him, it's like we listen to so much music. Like a lot of times we're on the same wavelength of what we're listening to, so we kind of, if we're in that vibe, we make stuff like that. But I can make something myself, and he can make something himself. So we've got, and OT can make something himself too. So we've got 3 producers right there. If we need to come together, it's perfect. But like we can crank out records for people just like that. It's literally a factory. But that's kind of where you have to be, especially in 2018. With the amount of records and the amount of artists that there are, like if you want to be financially okay and you want to be able to pay your rent, do those little things to get those wins, you consistently have to be putting out stuff. You have to continuously be working and like making sure you have content. So we're just in a good place, man. So I mean, you met me last year. I was playing on the street. And now we're talking now, and like I've had a couple good things happen. I hope we sit here a year from now and like
many more times,
at a year after that. And you come out and DJ on a world tour, you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Because at the end of the day, dude, it's just like everybody. I bring onto this platform is somebody I believe can really make it big. I remember when I first met you, like, you were just this most humbled guy. And we had left Santa Barbara thinking, like, damn, like, this guy's a really cool cat. 1 year and some change later, you're still that same guy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the type of shit I appreciate. Just knowing that, like, damn, I really thought of this guy really well, and it's really, I thought right. You know what I mean?
And I appreciate you guys, like, rocking with me, bro, because, like I said, when Demrick gave me the opportunity to, like, come do that stuff with him, like, I felt like I texted both you guys in a group chat. I was like, I am so sorry, because, like, it's not every day that, I mean, people show you love, but, like, we're cool. Like, I consider you guys to be a part of a team and family, bro. Like, I will rock with you guys from here, like, get on camera, like, to the day that, like, if I'm doing world tours, like, we could sit in the same apartment and do the same thing. Like, it is what it is. So I felt so bad when I couldn't do it, but, like, obviously, I'm on the next one, you know? Like,
hey, man, but you're here right now. That's
absolutely.
all that matters.
Okay,
That's
bro.
all that matters. Austin Sexton, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Plug your Instagram and all that, man, so they can find you.
All right. I am Austin Sexton for the gram, Austin_Sexton for Twitter. And then my new project, Paola. It's a Paola EP. You can get it Spotify. Stream it on Spotify. We like Spotify right now. Apple Music, anywhere you can get it. Merch coming soon. Vinyl's coming soon. Pins coming soon. It's going to be tight. So.
I hope you come out with Austin Sexton headbands, man, because that's like your trademark shit.
Yeah, I wanted to wear the same one I was wearing when I saw
it was the gray one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the gray one. Well, everybody, check out the Paola EP. Make sure you follow Austin on everything. This is The Lunch Table, hip-hop food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz, and we are out.